Welcome back to another exciting episode of Maverick Beat. I'm your host, Rena Greifinger, Managing Director of Maverick Collective. Maverick Beat is a window into the lives of the women and girls that Maverick projects serve through the stories of those who are delivering the projects and the Maverick women whose partnership makes them possible. On this episode of Maverick Beat, we head back to Kilifi County, Kenya, to learn about Binti Biashara, a Maverick Next project supporting adolescent girls to access two critical tools for a happy and healthy future: the ability to plan their pregnancies and to earn an income. In Kilifi County, 1 in 5 girls will become a mother before the age of 20, and nearly 60% of them would have opted to avoid or delay a pregnancy if they had access to the contraception they desired. The poverty rates in Kilifi County are triple the national average, and only 13% of residents have a secondary level education. Few girls have meaningful employment opportunities. We first traveled to Kilifi on our second episode of Maverick Beat, Expanding Access and Choice, with Ann Morris and Mama Riziki, to see the impact of community health extension workers in bringing contraception directly to consumers' doors. The project was transformative in increasing access to contraception, but even when able to better plan their families, girls still did not have the ability to lift out of poverty. Maverick Next was designed to embed a burst of innovation into existing projects in order to strengthen and expand the impact that those projects can have. Here we had an opportunity to bring a livelihoods program to the Mama Riziki project. So in 2020, Binti Biashara was born. When we started the Binti Biashara project, none of the adolescent girls that enrolled in the program were in school, the large majority having dropped out of primary level. The team got to work enrolling girls in vocational skills training and mentorships that would allow them to start earning an income, learning about saving, and gaining the confidence and competence to make decisions about their lives and families. Our Kenya team found that these trainings and the mentorships offered a different and often more comfortable way to embed conversations about sexual and reproductive health, a topic that is still complex and difficult to address head-on in Kilifi and everywhere in the world. So, using a girl-centered design approach, PS Kenya worked hand-in-hand with girls to co-design a curriculum that would address both sexual and reproductive health and vocational skills education simultaneously. In this segment of Maverick Beat, we will hear from PS Kenya colleagues Sylvia Wamuhu, Health Systems and Reproductive Health Director, Christine Were, former Reproductive Health Manager, David Ongiri, HCD Exchange Design Fellow, and our Maverick Next members, Emma, Payal Patel, Shelley Trivedi, and Olivia Chowdhury. Let's tune in.
Kenya has a young population, with the majority being youth. Actually, about 70% are youth. Many of them are sexually active, including adolescents. And I'll take you down to Kilifi County, Magarini Sub-County, where we meet Pendo. Pendo is 18 years old and she has 2 kids. One is 5 years old, the other one is 2. You can imagine by the time she gets to 25 years, how many children she's going to have. And she comes from a poor family. She's married to a poor man and she's a class 8 dropout. Taking reproductive health education to the rural areas is extremely important because it helps the girls understand their sexual and reproductive health rights, and also to understand if they're sexually active, what options are there for them.
This is the game changer. The community, as I've mentioned, believe that having many children is a source of wealth. So bringing many children that you cannot educate, you cannot feed, you cannot take good care of their medical needs is a challenge. So if you bring in sexual reproductive health education to the community, to the households, and even to the local administration, then they would be able to understand that it is not negating what they believe in, but giving the mother or the household an opportunity to bring up children and give space so that they are able to take care of their children, give them the best in terms of nutrition, give them the best in terms of education, give them the best in terms of medical needs, and they can have as many as they want.
The approach which we specifically adopted is called the human-centered replication approach, which involves identifying interventions that are used HCD and taking components from those interventions and adapting them to the Kenyan context. The aim of implementing this project using the HCD process into an existing SRH programming, we are able to see whether it will be able to improve the SRH outcomes at the end of it all, so that we can be able to defend that adding an economic empowerment component is very crucial in increasing the outcomes of any SRH programming.
And coming from a design background where design research and design strategy has been kind of my career, it was really exciting to see an organization that was trying to champion the principles that I kind of follow in my own work stream and in my own career, but in philanthropy. And it's something that in the real world was like a phenomenon at the time.
Embedding economic empowerment or giving skills to these girls becomes very paramount in their lives, because we know that any woman who is economically empowered is able to take charge of their lives, is able to make decisions about what they want, and that has a ripple effect, and indeed a positive ripple effect on the whole family and the society.
And it gave very great, insightful evidence that if you combine the economic empowerment with sexual reproductive health, then the lives of the younger generation and even the community at large gets better.
I've seen domestically in work that I've done the value of women having their own economic security and what that entails, both from a financial basis, a reproductive basis, and I've explored how that functions here in the US. And I didn't have the background to understand how that experience is lived globally.
We were very happy with the community-based model, and it was very sustainable. And I can say this is contrary to our initial anticipation that this one is more sustainable, because one thing, the cost was down because we were augmenting on the existing infrastructure in the community. Another thing, the girls themselves were absorbed back by the mentors. For those who were showing a lot of potential, the mentors just took them in, and they were able even to earn income in those setups.
We made them understand that, of course, they had given birth, but they could still delay the next pregnancy, and during that time get the opportunity to build their skills in terms of the different apprentices that Binti Biashara brought on board. And at the end of the day, there was laughter and smiles in the faces of the community, and the county was so proud. And this was one of the best practices that they said they would take up and, grow to scale.
Our director, Christine Ware, said something to me that I'll never forget. I said, why are you doing this work? And what fuels you? What motivates you on the really hard days that you've had a 16-hour day in the field? Nothing seems like it's working. And she said, I will not give up on these girls because I too have worn those shoes. She knows what it's like. And I'll never be able to know really what it's like, but having the opportunity to get a tiny snapshot and knowing that we've made an impact that'll hopefully scale was really life-changing.
This is one project that was very close to my heart. Having been a teenage mother, I got my firstborn baby when I was just 19. So I was basically a pando at some point, but I got the opportunity to change the narrative.
They made us feel very involved. That's exactly what I wanted from this whole experience, was to connect with the people. We got to attend one of the graduation ceremonies for the pendos. I was like watching this, and it's honestly like within one generation, how much has changed from their mothers' lives to their lives, and they're going to teach their kids, their sons and their daughters about like birth control or like family planning. And it's the cycle of poverty, has just kind of like stopped in a way, because the understanding that they're getting and the support that they're getting from what Christine and what Binti Biashara does, it's amazing to see the kind of ripple effect it's going to have.
I think this experience has been transformational in understanding how I want to engage in philanthropy and maybe in helping me define my role in philanthropy within our family and my family foundation.
I've met some women through Maverick who are looking to tell stories of women and girls, both here in the US and globally, around issues like abortion and reproductive rights. And we've had some really interesting conversations about how can we use film and culture change and the ability of film to create culture change. It's been an interesting development to meet some really creative women who are working to tell stories on different platforms, including film.
When I give alongside other women, doing it together, and having a safe space to have vulnerable conversations, I feel much better with my giving and I'm more motivated to do more giving. So Maverick was right up my alley. It was funding women and girls and it was in a community of next gens. I am so confident in the work and the impact that we did on the ground, and I'm really excited for what's next.
They bring themselves to your level and they walk the journey with you. It motivates you as an implementer. It makes you feel valued and you want to give more to such a project because of the value they attach to it.
Too often in global health, organizations like PSI are funded to address one health issue at a time, with donors prescribing what they want you to do with their funding, rather than proximate leaders saying what they want to do. Maverick is different. Here we had a group of funders that said, start with the girl. What does she want for her life? And what are the barriers standing in her way? By designing with girls and putting their desires and aspirations at the center, we were able to bust the silos of health and livelihoods and help girls across multiple and intersecting aspects of their lives. Through Binti Biashara, 23% of girls opted to begin using a contraceptive method, and 79% said they began earning some income or contributing to their family income since joining the program. Kalifi County has already committed to scaling up the Binti Biashara model in other sub-counties. This project is a perfect example of the magic of Maverick Next, building off the success of existing projects and bringing that burst of innovation to reach more women and girls faster. The success of Binti Biashara will serve as another stepping stone to getting girls much needed access to the resources they need to plan the families and the futures they desire. To this incredible cohort of Maverick Next members, thank you. We are excited to watch as you take the creative and flexible mindset you gained from this experience into your work, your philanthropy, and your everyday lives. To the PS Kenya team, thank you for sharing so much of yourselves with us and with this project. It's obvious how meaningful this work is to you, and it is clearly invaluable to the women and girls of Kilifi County. We've just seen how human-centered design can reimagine access to contraception for girls in Kilifi County, Kenya. Now let's see how PSI is using human-centered design with youth in another part of the globe. Let's head to Vietnam, where Love Voyage is just getting underway. While adolescent pregnancy has been on the decline worldwide, Vietnam has not followed this trend and has one of the highest rates of unintended adolescent pregnancy in the world. On average, a young woman in Vietnam will undergo 2.5 abortions in her lifetime. With limited research into why contraception is so rarely accessed despite its availability, PSI wanted to journey deep into the hearts and minds of young people to understand how social norms and culture impacted their sexual decisions, and then to engage those youth in designing solutions that would help break down those cultural barriers. This journey turned into a voyage, a love voyage. Through deep partnership with young people in Hanoi, the project team discovered the importance of creating an enabling environment where youth felt safe to be curious and, once armed with correct information, safe to access contraception. Through the Love Voyage project, the team designed sexual and reproductive health learning events, gathered a team of gurus who would act as relatable subject matter experts, opened a Facebook page, and built out a youth-led sexual and reproductive health network to open up healthy dialogue about sex and contraception. In this segment, we meet Amy Dornbush, the Maverick member who funded Love Voyage, and Hoya Nguyen, country director for PSI Vietnam. They will talk about the strength of human-centered design in creating a lasting impact on young people, and will share how the success of this project has boosted the participants' self-efficacy and inspired them to continue the voyage long after the project closed. Let's tune in.
Vietnam is an incredibly exciting country. Yet it's one of the fastest growing countries in the world. And for the first time in the history of Vietnam, women have a real shot. It's a reality. They can go to a 4-year university and graduate and become almost anything that they want. And so why is this getting in the way, right?
The very core problem is because sex still a taboo in Vietnam. The youth was not comfortable proactively looking for information, discussing about it. Imagine if a young female student come to see the OB/GYN doctor, for example, it starts being questionable. What is it for? And people will feel very shame if they was perceived as they having sex before marriage. Still, that kind of thinkings and perception will prevent the youth from accessing to the information, start learning about it.
The hypothesis going into this project is, well, women are too embarrassed to go into pharmacies to buy condoms. So we started developing a contraceptive kit that was discreet. And we thought that was going to solve the problem. And it turns out that it doesn't matter how it's packaged. The pharmacists are just inherently not friendly towards the youth. They're judgmental. So what did we do? We just went around it, turned around and said, we are not going to solve for that problem. We're going to solve for the dialogue and, what we can with the assets that we have available.
Sexual activity is a basic human right. From the beginning, the project was designed to be very focused on sexual and reproductive health to reduce unintended pregnancy. But we soon realized that there's other value, which is very important for the youth to understand before they learn about technical knowledge.
We decided to implement a new process that largely Vietnam, not just PSI, but the government and other nonprofit groups there had previously not used, which was really a human-centered design approach. The students kind of ran with it. We created this all-encompassing program called Love Voyage.
They have been able to reach about 13 million youth online.
There were and continue to be what the Love Voyage team calls gurus. So, these are doctors, these are professionals in their field that can really answer some of those more technical questions about particular contraceptives or other things of that nature.
The most impressive event, which I believe the youth group are very proud of, was the Love Festival. They've been able to organize in the public, which is the first ever public event on this social and reproductive health organized by the youth in Hanoi to gather, including civil society organizations, businesses, and government agency comes and join and support them. With all the equipment and support from the project, we've been able to set up that youth network, mobilizing the youth leaders from 17 universities in Hanoi and different groups. And more importantly, after the project ended, they still very committed to maintain this network and planning for it to continue.
These are future leaders. These are future event planners. We enhanced skills. We created a community of people who have really deep friendships now. There's thousands of youth that we've touched through these events that now feel comfortable talking about sex. Those are just a few things, but I think those are incredible outcomes as well.
The impact of the projects really went beyond the scope of the project itself, because now we have this youth network. We have the PSI team here become much more experienced applying the human-centered design approach and tools and methodology, which is applicable to many other projects that we are working on.
I was only able to go to Vietnam for the kickoff because of the pandemic, but luckily for me, I did scoop up my 3-year-old and my 6-month-old, and we decided to spend 6 weeks in Vietnam. I did get to spend some time immersing in the community and sort of understanding a little bit better. The workshops with the youth were incredibly eye-opening. I've used these design workshops before in the corporate world, and it was just really incredible to see it being facilitated in an environment that was going to benefit from a philanthropic purpose.
The teams also noted the differences working with the Maverick compared to other donors. The flexibility, the support is clearly adding values because it allows us to be more innovative, creative, and also have space for fail and learn.
I was early in my journey in the philanthropy world, not having a lot of contacts, not having a big network. How do I roll my sleeves up and get involved with something with international development in the global community while also having the support and resources to engage in something meaningful? And Maverick Collective just occupies a really unique juncture in that regard. You have the opportunity to really be involved and to shape the direction and the hypothesis of the project, but you have all the resources there to support you. So you don't have to have a career of international development or service to be involved in a project like this.
I have to highlight the importance of Maverick. Amy Johnsburg, her financial support was so important, but more importantly, we have her accompany along the process. Her passionate knowledge and her commitment to support these problems, addressing the problems in Vietnam, really inspire the youth group.
This project had an undeniable impact on the youth in Vietnam and has opened the door for years of impact as Love Voyage team members and gurus have committed to moving the project forward. The power of human-centered design in building a program by youth for youth is evident. In an environment where attitude has an impact, building a project through the lens of those who will be served by it means you can tackle issues at the root instead of just slapping on a temporary solution. Giving adolescents the access they need to a safe, open learning environment where all their questions are fair game means they can grow into adults with agency, choice, and voice. And having a Maverick member with such a deep understanding of business practices and such a mind towards sustainability has helped set this project on track for the long term. Amy, you are truly a Maverick, sharing your gifts in bold, risk-forward ways to help others build the world they want to see. In both Binti Biashara and Love Voyage, we've seen how working with adolescents and young women to design programs that meet their true questions and needs ensures those programs are more relevant, resonant, and effective in helping them thrive. And with Maverick members ready to roll up their sleeves and contribute every type of talent they have to offer, and PSI project teams replete with expertise and effort, there's no doubt that these projects have delivered remarkable impact. Thank you for tuning in to our latest episode of Maverick Beat. It is an honor to host you on this virtual journey and to witness the impact that Maverick Collective and PSI are having on women and girls, you, and philanthropy. See you soon.